สวัสดีครับวันนี้เราเปลี่ยนที่นิดนึงนะครับไม่ได้อยู่ที่ออฟฟิศไม่ได้อยู่ที่เมืองไทยนะครับวันนี้เราอยู่ที่อังกฤษผมได้รับคำถามตลอดนะครับเป็นคำถามที่ดีนะครับทำไมถึงอังกฤษผลิตมิกเซอร์ที่ดีมากได้มีหลายเจ้าทำไมถึงมีแค่ประเทศเดียวที่ทำมิกเซอร์ดีๆนะครับก็วันนี้ผมจะพาไปดูว่าแถว Allen Heath แถวคอร์นวอลทำไมเขาผลิตมิกเซอร์ดีๆได้นะครับจะเข้าไปที่โรงงานเข้าไปดูสินค้านะครับเข้าไปเจอคนที่นู่นนะครับเดี๋ยววันนี้ขับรถไกลนะครับต้องขับรถประมาณ5 ชั่วโมงเดี๋ยวจะพาไปดูว่าอากาศเป็นยังไงบ้างนี่ทะเลที่คอร์นวอลนะครับผมไม่แน่ใจว่าอากาศแบบนี้มันจะช่วยทำมิกดีๆหรือเปล่านี่นะครับมาถึงแล้วโรงงาน Allen Heath ที่อังกฤษนะครับตอนนี้เราอยู่ที่ฟาวมอร์ที่คอร์นวอลนะครับแต่อากาศมันหนาวมากต้องรีบเข้าไปนะครับเดี๋ยวจะไปดูว่ามีอะไรใหม่ๆเดี๋ยวติดต่อข้างในครับ
Hi, I'm Keith, and I am a product manager here at Allen Heath in Cornwall in the UK.
Hi, my name's Jack. I'm one of the product specialists here at Allen Heath, and I look after D-Live, Avantis, and ME.
So Allen Heath started up in London in the 1969, I believe, and made, for example, a quadraphonic desk for Pink Floyd, which is pretty cool. Then moved up to Brighton and down to Cornwall for manufacture. So the building we're in currently was the where all the manufacturing was going on for Allen Heath, and eventually moved all operations down to Cornwall.
I mean, ultimately, you can create good products anywhere. Cornwall's fantastic because you've got wonderful access to the countryside, such wonderful access to the seaside. You know, it's quite like an inspiring environment to be in for many people.
It's definitely a different mindset down in Cornwall. So it's conducive to a productive team where they can code during the day and then go out surfing in the evening. And then people come in the right frame of mind to do some great work. And the team here do work incredibly hard. We've just had a load of solar panels fit to the roof here, actually. So about half the roof of the building we're in is covered in solar panels. But obviously the biggest impact that we have on the environment is with our products themselves and the packaging. And we are currently, and have been for a few years now, moving towards less plastics and less use of plastics, moving away from things like printing manuals, because the product changes with different firmware updates anyway, so that manual becomes out of date in 6 months or so. That's always kind of on our radar, especially out here in the countryside.
Obviously, we support many different standards across our product range. We've got loads and loads of different options, different cards at different price points, with different functionality. You've got kind of the main, the main protocols that lots of people like to use, and that can be either for connecting wireless microphone systems, connecting third-party consoles, connecting into system managers, or just multi-track recording. So I would say the sort of like the main tranche of our audio networking comes from Dante, it comes from Waves, and it comes from Maddie.
It can be quite confusing if you come into and you start looking at how many different protocols there are, and you think, why there's so many different protocols? They're all generally have their own strengths. So you look at something like Dante from Ordinate. That's pretty good for interoperability between different products, but then you can achieve a similar thing with some of the other protocols. So Waves, AVB is an interesting one. It's not something we do currently, but we've been keeping an eye on it over the past few years. If our customers need it, then we need to look into providing it.
it might well be that we do move to support other things in the future, and that's a conversation that we're having with lots of different partners all the time, just to keep an eye on what different things people are using, where the market's going, and if there are any new sort of requirements that come up from the market that are not currently being solved by one of the standards that we make available. We do, of course, also have our own standards. So you may see on a lot of our newest products the S-Link port. So the S-Link port supports a number of ANH only protocols. So these include GigaAce, which is the protocol mostly used by the D-Live series. We've also got DX, which is for some of our 96K expanders, and DSnake, which is predominantly used for our 48K expanders. The nice thing about the S-Link port, which we currently have on AHM, Avantis and the SQ series, is that you don't need to worry too much about what it is you're trying to connect, because the port will just conform. As long as it's a fairly modern ANH expander or fairly modern ANH console, it will probably work.
So immersive audio has certainly cropped up more and more in the past few years. As a personal opinion, it's about an experience for the audience, and that's what we're all working towards anyway, is making it easier for the engineers to provide a better experience for the audience.
We're not currently in a position to commit to doing or not doing integration for immersive audio, but it is very much at the front of a number of research projects at the moment. Yeah, as to whether you'll see integration in the near future, probably not, but in the medium term, it's definitely something we're looking at.
AI in engineering or in the technical side of things is really interesting. Yes, it is something that we've seen other people kind of incorporating. I don't think you can replace. I don't think you can ever replace a human or replace an engineer, just because there's so many artistic choices. There's things that are technical, or things that are factual, or things that can be helped with technology. But in terms of the artistic choices that people are making, I don't think that'll ever be replaced.
It's a bit like cruise control on a car. Yes, I can look and see how fast I'm going and adjust the accelerator and brake as required, but actually it's much easier if I let a computer do that and then concentrate on something else. And I think that's much the same way with AI mixing is it'll be fantastic for helping maybe small bands or predominantly performers who aren't going to be actively mixing and maybe otherwise would just have sort of a set configuration on their console. But I think as time goes forward, we'll find more professional users using it as a time-saving tool, not necessarily doing something they're unable to do, but, doing something that's easy, quick, and allows them to concentrate on doing something else. It's a really interesting question. We'll have to see how, the market reacts to having the CC7 and CC10. And what people do with them, because that's the wonderful thing, and in fact the whole point of custom control is that it's not really what we want or what we think, it's about giving people the opportunity and flexibility to really configure their setups exactly how they need to meet their needs. It's again a really interesting question. I think predominantly what we've learned is that we can do remote. We've learned that in 2022, it's perfectly possible, to have people working from anywhere on almost any sort of equipment and still contribute meaningfully to the running of a company.
COVID and the lockdown, having some of the team working from home during lockdown has been at times challenging, but it's also improved our workflow in some regard. There's a lot more just people still using Teams all day, every day, for quick bits and bobs. We've just recently got some more kind of flexi time because people have started getting used to working either very early in the morning or working later in the evening. So I think there's a bit more of that going on. Really, just making the team more productive. So I think all of that's become a bit more fluid. Yeah.